I don't. Good evening. It is 6:30. I'll go ahead and call the Board of Zoning Appeals meeting to order. Ms. Grover, could you please call the roll, please?
Ms. Walker? Here. Ms. Broadus? Ms. White?
Here.
Mr. Nolan?
Here.
And Mr. Schumacher?
Here. Thank you. Next, we have the review and the adoption of the meeting agenda. I'll entertain a motion to accept.
I make a motion to accept.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Properly second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Meeting agenda is adopted. Next, we have the review of the approval of the minutes, starting with December 2nd, 2021. If there are no changes, I'll entertain a motion to accept.
I'll make that motion.
A second.
There's a motion is properly second. Ms. Grover, can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Nolan?
Yes.
Ms. Walker?
Yes.
Ms. White?
Yes.
And Mr. Schumacher?
Yes, thank you. Next, we have the minutes for January 26, 2022. Does anyone have any changes to these minutes? And
I have a couple small ones.
Okay.
On page 3, the second to the last paragraph, that first sentence, I think you were asking Mr. Danvers if he was interested in appealing a decision by the zoning administrator, not the planning commission. And then right below planning commission CPA, there's no space there. It's just a typo. But
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have one other change on that page. The 5th paragraph up from the bottom, it's actually a single sentence. Statement that I made that I don't recall making. So I asked that the record be checked and that statement be corrected or just stricken from the minutes.
Okay.
It's contrary to my thoughts on the application.
Okay, very good.
And then I have one other change on page 6. Third paragraph down. Ms. Broadus asked for clarification on where staff proposes he build the second garage. But there's no context to that. There's no explanation of where staff was thinking that the second garage should be built. And in the next sentence, Mr. Nolan made a motion that this removed location, I think that should be remote location.
On the one previous, was there a discussion on that? Like, did we actually discuss it or we just left it out?
I'll let Ms. Glover speak to it, but I think Ms. Glover, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think had suggested, or staff had suggested, there were other opportunities on the property. And maybe we don't even need to discuss this because we're going to hear the application.
Okay.
Up to you. Where I was going with that was I thought there was discussion from staff on the opportunity on the plan where the garage can be built, and that's what drove Mr. Ross's question.
And was that the second paragraph?
Second paragraph leading into the third, yes.
Ms. Broadus confirmed the recording.
Okay. And then in the third paragraph, the second line down, you just change that word from removed to remote. You'll read clear. Those are the only changes I had.
Okay. We'll get those changes made and then present them at the next meeting for approval.
Or if you like, you can approve with those amendments.
Okay. So I have a motion to approve the minutes as amended. All right, can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
So since we're waiting for something to be clarified, I don't, can we approve changes that we don't know what they are
And
yet?
again, because we're expecting to hear that applications, that it's a new form.
Okay, just for the minutes, I think we'll just go ahead and have them listen to the audio and just represent the minutes. Okay, can I have a motion to table the minutes for until our next meeting?
I'll make that.
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, minutes on the table for next meeting. Thank you for that. Next, we have the public comment period, and if you wish to speak on non-public hearing matters not related to the variance request that we have before us this evening, this is the time to do so. There will be one opportunity of 3 minutes per individual or 5 minutes per group or organization. Be sure to state your name and district in which you're a part of. Ms. Grover will be our technical assistant for the Zoom. Again, this is for non-public hearing matters not related to the variance request set before us. Somebody online to speak?
There were none signed up. There were none signed up for online.
Okay, we'll go ahead and close the public comment period. Next on the agenda is the public hearing for variance request B-0721, owners Todd and Kim Breckman. That was tabled from January 26, 2022. Ms. Grover, if you would be so kind as to refresh the board on this request.
Good evening, members of the board. So we have variance request 07-21, Mr. and Mrs. Breckman. So they are requesting a variance from, if you just click that sharing,
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, that picture.
Oh,
So they are at 526 Dover Lane, and they're requesting a variance from section 86-110 of the zoning ordinance, which requires accessory structures to be located in the rear or the side yard. They're requesting it in order to construct a 4550 detached storage building in the front yard. Their zones are rural residential, and they have 15.21 acres. So I'm going to give a little bit of background that I didn't provide in our last meeting. So prior to October of 2022, in the old ordinance, there was a provision in the ordinance that clearly stated in section 86-243 and section C that accessory buildings are permitted in the rear side yards within 15 feet of property lines in all residential districts. So when they modified the ordinance in October, they took that section and they actually put it into a table format, which you see below. So they took the verbiage completely out of the ordinance, and now it's in that table format that you see in minimum yard accessory buildings, side 15 feet, rear 15 feet. I think we talked about this, we touched on it at the last meeting, or sometimes when you made provisions to the ordinance, you may have to go back and modify them. And we have talked to the planning commission about this, or possibly we need to go back and actually put that verbiage back in the ordinance. So that's what we talked to them about doing. And we plan on going back after the comprehensive plan is finalized and looking at that ordinance. So this is an aerial of their property. And we just kind of wanted you, it's kind of hard to see it even on this big screen, but that's what their property looks like currently. I mean, this is the zoning that's around them currently. So like I said, they're zoned RR, and you'll see the neighboring properties adjacent to them are also zoned RR. And then I'll step to the screen for just a minute. So this is their current single-family dwelling. They have an existing 3-car garage, and then they have proposed a new detached garage that's going to go in front of the existing 3-car garage. This line right here represents their rear yard, and then this is the space back here that they have that's open currently. They have trees. And then they have some existing space back here. So the side setback where they propose to put the their proposed garage is 25 feet. Setback from the street is 900 feet where they propose to put the dwelling, not the dwelling, the detached garage. And this is the drawing that they had originally given that kind of shows things that weren't to scale, and that's why we went back on the drawing before and actually show everything to scale. And then we actually go out to the properties and we take pictures so that you can take a look. So you can see to the left the actual single-family dwelling. You can see to the right is the existing 3-car garage. And then you see the existing 3-car garage, and in front of it, what they've done is they just had cleared a spot for that proposed garage to go. This is the rear of the property where you can see they have trees. And then this is a space where they actually have cleared. And this is the proposed building that they had provided to the building department of what they have proposed to build on the property. Staff at this point, unlike the other properties that we had at the prior meeting, we cannot recommend approval of this particular one because they do have space in the rear of the property to actually put this building. So with that, I'll leave you with any questions that you have.
Is there any questions from Ms. Grover?
No.
Can you go back to the picture where you see the house? Right there. So is that garage in front of the house, or is that yeah, that's the front of the house, is that correct?
It is in front of the house. So I've gone back through their files, and when they had submitted for that detached structure, it was presented that it was in line with the house. So it was not constructed in line with the house, but it was applied for in line with the house.
So in line with the house would be further back,
Correct.
and the proposed garage would go where in relation to this picture? Behind those two?
And where you see the piece of equipment here,
Mhm.
right here.
Okay. Any questions? Ms. Grover?
Ms. Garber, do you know if this condition presents itself in other neighboring properties?
From what we can see when Andy and I went out, and the neighboring properties did not have detached garages in the front, unlike some of the ones that we had heard the night that we originally heard this particular application.
Thanks. In fact, it looks like many of them are underdeveloped, or some of them are underdeveloped.
It's more, there was some farmland out there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Grover. Next, the applicant or representative for Todd and Kim Breckman, you can speak this time.
Thank you. I want to thank you all for tabling this, so I have an opportunity to speak here. I really appreciate it. To clarify a few things on what she had said, the one picture that had all the grass on it is where my drain field is. So and the property to the right of it is the reserve drain field. So nothing could obviously go there. The trees on the southeast corner, which were also in her other picture, has easements from the power company coming across it because the power comes all the way down to that corner and then comes back to the power box, so nothing could be developed there.
Mr. Breckman, do you mind pointing on that photograph about what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Do you want me to switch to pictures?
Yeah, the power line comes all the way down to here and then comes right over to that power box that's there. That was in that other picture. This, if that'll go away, that's the original power box there.
Let's see. It's a very touchy screen.
Oh, did I touch it?
We just.
Good job.
Okay, so this is the original power box that Rappahannock put in. So, and that comes all the way from that southeast corner of the property that's to my neighbors. So the other power that comes in is actually coming from there to there and there to there. So putting anything further that direction is, it's not.
As long as you're standing there, I understand the disposal beds and the power. Are there other hardships than constructing the building in the rear of the house? And then are there benefits to building it where you want to build it? That override those?
I work at home and employ some residents of this county there. So I have a machine shop there. We make anything you want out of metal. The primary purpose for the storage building for us is to get some of these stored materials, pallets, stuff that have to be stored at 72 degrees out of there so we can put some other machines in them. The other proposed area behind there, not only is it 3 or 4 feet low, if the day comes where we need to put hook power or put hook sewer to it, it would present a problem. But the worst problem would be if I need to put a 400-pound attachment on one of my CNC machines and it's snowing or sleeting. I would literally have to pave a concrete road to the rear of the property to pick it up and move it. The objective here is to store our materials and store our manual stuff that doesn't require power, brakes, shears, benders, pallets for shipping. We unload a straight truck twice a week there. I bought some pictures on my phone. I unloaded one today. So it wouldn't really be a good spot for me to unload a straight truck 400 yards behind the house and then have to truck it over. It's just not conducive to us trying to work there. Yeah, we're 900 feet off the road, so not really presenting a visual problem. We already have one building in the front yard. I couldn't speak to what was drawn on the original plan, but everything there was approved by the county in terms of water and everything that was approved. There wasn't anything underhand that was tried or attempted when that building was built.
And was that built while you owned the property, or did you buy the property that was already there?
No, sir. We built everything there. So yeah, I mean, there wouldn't be any possibility of me getting water or septic. And that's not even the worst part. The worst part, I would have to total the whole backside of that property to put a building back there. It wouldn't help my situation whatsoever in terms of a working homogeneity with the stuff we need and stuff we do and stuff we store and stuff we ship. And, you know, we produce about 6,000 pounds of metal chips about every 6 to 8 weeks, and we have a 42-foot 18-wheeler that backs up and we load them on there. Right now, they're all on the south side of the building, and it's just impossible to get to. So we just want to store the chips in the other building so we can load the trucks.
I heard you say that the rear yard is lower by 3 or 4 feet. Is it also vegetated? Is it wooded?
It's wooded, yes, sir. And everything there is wooded. All the surrounding properties are wooded. the only ones that would even see it are my neighbors, AC and Olivia, who see the same building now, who we're friendly with, and they're obviously not here to oppose, to us building this there.
And the location where you want to build it, that's already cleared and level.
Yeah, a tree fell over during the winter, and so I figured we were gonna get to this at some point, so I just went ahead and piled it all up and burned it. It's not 100% cleared, but we still need to knock down another 20 or 30 feet if we can get you a lesson.
You feel that building the garage there would be at all objectionable to your neighbors? Are there any neighbors that would see it and object to it?
Well, I'm 100% sure that it wouldn't be a problem. I mean, we brought three-phase power back there last year. They were happy to sign an easement to come across their property. They were gonna come down my driveway, which was fine with me, but the power company asked us about it, and I said, well, that's up to them. So I feel like they would be here if it was gonna be a problem.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Just going to ask you again on this, just for clarification, the existing garage is there now. What was the original plan? Did you get like a variance request or something to put it in front of the house, or you just?
No, sir.
I didn't know. I was just curious. How was that approved? Was that just approved for? Did you build everything at one time, like?
No, we built the house in 1999. We built the garage in 2013.
Ms. Grover, you suggested that at the time the garage was built, there was a plan that showed it along the front of the house, along the facade of the house. Was that a part of a zoning permit, or?
Yes, sir. It was part of the zoning permit.
And I'll clarify again, so the reason you would not want to put it behind these buildings is?
Well, one, I don't have the space to, and stuff behind this building, looking at the picture going straight back, I would have to build it over top of existing power lines. I don't even know if they allow that. They're all buried back there.
I assure you they don't.
Okay, yeah, I mean, that, if you could pull the top of up. Yeah, any of those are fine. The power comes all the way to here. And at this corner, I'm sorry, at this corner comes just like this. If you remember the power box, it's kind of right here. It's like 56 feet from my house. That power line's coming straight that way. So that from here back is off limits.
And if you were to build it there, it'd be even closer to your neighbors.
They would be a lot worse. It would be a lot.
Would be more visible to them.
It'd be far more visible to them.
Okay.
So I would actually have to even come on the left. If I was going to do it, I would have to come on the left side of my house, the way everything is designed there, and put it on that back piece of that property, which really would defeat our entire purpose.
If the existing garages had been built behind your house, where would this garage have gone? Probably in front of it, right?
Well, it would, hypothetically, it would be going right beside it. Hypothetically, if I knew what I knew now, I would have made that garage a lot bigger. I wasn't planning on this turning into kind of what it has turned into, sort of exciting accident. So, I really would prefer not to build anything else on this property at this point. But I'm just out of space. We're tripping over one another.
Aside from the constraints in your backyard, it sounds like logistics is a big problem for getting trucks in and out, utilities and so forth.
It's been tough. I had to take a ton of trees down. More trees than I wanted to take down because we're minimalist. If you look at the picture, we like our privacy, but just to get some of these trucks in and out of there, we've had to take tons of trees down so they can make the turns.
If I can ask you about, I think it's lot 8, it's the large lot that kind of fans out. The portion of it that's parallel to your garage and goes out to the road. I'm presuming that's not wide enough to build a house. That's really just an access.
Lot 8 is AC and Olivia's. And this is actually split right here. Okay.
Okay,
It cuts straight back through.
well, that's been subdivided.
It's been subdivided.
Okay.
There's a Glenn and his wife live here, and their house is right there.
So what I'm getting at is that's been developed already in the back, and any of the land that's adjacent to where your garage would be built is really just a driveway.
Correct. Yes, sir. That driveway borders my south and east property line. It's 10 feet off that property line. 10 feet on the back. It's right down the middle. It's about 50 feet on the. You know, I have a picture of her.
Right. Oh, okay. And that's all landscape too.
That's all landscape.
Right. You don't want to share the rest of the board? Thank you.
That's the driveway.
Any other questions for Mr. Breckman? Is it Breckman?
Breckman.
Breckman? Okay, my apologies.
No, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next I'm going to open the floor for the public comment for variance request B-0721. Individuals will have one opportunity. You have 3 minutes or 5 minutes for group organizations. And those who wish to speak in favor of the variance request to be granted may come up at this time. And if you're on Zoom, I would ask that you just raise your hand or press *9 if you're on the phone. Ms. Grover is going to be our technical assistant for the Zoom call. And if you do speak, please be sure to give us your name and address for the record. So at this point, is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of the variance request? Okay, is there anyone that wishes to speak in opposition or denial of the variance request? Okay, being that there are none, I'll go ahead and close the public comment period. Ms. Grover, have you received any further contacts in support or opposition since the packet was put together?
Mr. Moran, our chair of the Board of Supervisors, did receive an email from a concerned citizen regarding the location of the proposed structure. And it was more so regarding the location of the building. They wanted to remain anonymous. So that did come through our office. And if I could clarify, this is located in the RR district, as I had mentioned. And I do want to thank Mr. Breckman for sharing the information regarding the easement for the power company, because that's something that we were not able to see because we didn't have a current survey. So we did not have that information. But because this is located in the RR district, he has what's called a home occupation. And a home occupation allows certain stipulations for a business. And that allows for normally one employee that's not a relative. So I did want to clarify that. So it doesn't allow for businesses to expand and have several employees. So I wasn't sure if the board was aware of that or not. So I just wanted to clarify that information.
Thank you, Ms. Grover.
Ms. Gerber, was the communication with the Board of Supervisors member in favor of or against the application? And can we even consider it being that it was anonymous and we don't know the
Yeah,
context?
we do get anonymous comments from time to time. Was it an adjacent property owner? Can you love it?
We're not sure.
Okay.
It was not in favor.
Not in favor.
There's only one adjacent property owner. And I find it highly unlikely if it was them. I own the adjacent properties.
Okay.
With the exception of Leonard's up in the front. On the right.
Sounds like hearsay to me. I can't rely on
It's hard to take that
a ghosted comment.
So it's my understanding that the chairman of the Board of Supervisors received a call from a constituent.
Yes.
Do you know if it was a verified constituent?
I'm sorry. say that.
Do you know if it was like a verified, was it just,
It was verified.
okay, it was a verified constituent. Okay. Okay, so at this point, the public comment period has been closed, and it does provide the applicant the opportunity to make closing remarks. You wish to speak at this time? Anything else to add?
I don't think I have anything else to add. We're here on bended knee, so we can hopefully get this project moving forward. We have payments on machines that are in New Hampshire and Kentucky. So we're just anxious to move forward with everybody's blessing.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions for the applicants?
I have no further questions. Yeah.
Okay, Doris?
No.
Okay. All right, does the board feel it's sufficiently informed and ready to make a decision?
I'll just say that I've shared my thoughts on interpretation of this particular section of the ordinance. I won't rehash that here tonight. I've made myself pretty clear. But I think that this applicant, specific to this application, has made a case that he's got a hardship. He can't build it in the backyard. Doesn't make sense. It makes a lot of sense to put where he wants to put it. And I can't see or hear that there's any objection to putting it where he wants to put it. It's not going to harm anybody. It's next to a long lane, long driveway. Nobody can develop property next to it. Who's going to see it? And in fact, if he did build it in the backyard, people would see it. He's 900 feet off the road. And I think to deny the application, but to deny the relief, would be a big discredit to the landowner, and it would strip him of the rights on the property. I don't think it will.
Anyone else?
I agree with Mike.
I do too. I share the same concerns over the ordinance, and I think the county has also acknowledged that, given that they're working on updating it.
Okay, so if we're ready to make a decision and without objection in accordance with Virginia Code 15.2-2309, powers and duties of the Board of Zoning Appeals, I'll entertain a motion to either approve or deny the variance request.
Make a motion to approve the variance request.
We have a motion to approve the variance request. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
It is properly second. Do we have any further discussion? I'll have to add that I'm and also in favor, just because of the easement. I think that kind of throw in some additional restrictions for power lines. That
That's a significant power line to face. That's retraced. Not easy to move. Not cheap.
Any other discussion? Ms. Grover, would you take the vote?
Ms. Walker,
Aye.
Ms. White,
Aye.
Mr. Nolan,
Aye.
and Mr. Schumacher.
Aye. Variance request D-0721 is approved. Thank you, Mr. Breckman.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Okay, next we will move on to variance request B-01-22 Widespread Properties LLC. Ms. Grover, if you would introduce us to this request, please.
Yes, sir. So Widespread Properties are requesting a variance from Article 6, Section 86-110 of the zoning ordinance, and it requires a frontage of the lot on the primary road to be a minimum of 100 feet in the B1 zoning district. It's located at 1041 Sharon Road, and it consists of 4.82 acres. Like I said, it's zone B1. It actually fronts on Sharon Road and also on King William Road and Richmond Tappahannock Highway. And what they'd actually like to do is divide it to construct a restaurant that faces Richmond Tappahannock Highway. And the side that fronts Sharon Road and King William Road, they currently have shopping centers. So section 86-110 of the zoning ordinance, and I'll step over here again, it's zoned B1. It's located on the primary road, which is Route 360. So if you look on that lovely table again, so the table of minimum standard site area and dimensional regulations. So when we look at the B1 zoning district, the minimum lot frontage, when it fronts a primary road, it actually requires 100 feet of lot frontage. So that's what they're required to have if they subdivide and add another lot. So I'll start back over here again. So this is the lot that they're proposing to subdivide into. Right now, it's all currently one lot. So they currently have about 70 feet of lot frontage, and they're required again to have 100 feet. And that's the reason why they're requesting the variance. So this is right now, this is the entire lot as one that you'll see. And it's right now, it fronts, you'll see Route 30 and you'll see Route 360, just to kind of give you an idea of how it exists currently. This is just a GIS map that shows where the lots are and the surrounding lots are. This is an aerial of the site. And if any of you all are familiar with the site, so this is where the gas station is, that's at the corner of 30 and Route 360. And this is the shopping center that has Roma's. And this is the one that has the medical offices. So this is the property that we're talking about right here. And this is the one that they want to actually create the second lot from right here.
Ms. Grover, just because I've already read through the packet, I want to ask you, on the left side there where you see Sharon Church,
Right here.
is that green line, is that the property line adjacent to Sharon?
This would be the church right here.
Okay, and there was a comment in there, and I just wanted to catch it, I was on the screen, that they were looking to try to purchase a small piece of the Sharon property to allow them to do something. I was just curious where that would be at.
Do you know where that is?
What I read out of that was they were looking to purchase additional road frontage from Sharon to comply with the ordinance. So it would have been to the west of all 360.
I'll show you.
Okay. Okay,
That's, see that shaded?
This area right here.
That's, adjacent to me. And that's the piece that I tried to buy from Sharon Church. It is squared on my parcel. By the way, I'm Frank Bradley with Widespread Properties. And I'm here to answer questions, but I made 3 attempts to them. One, I went to church itself and made a full presentation in front of the elders, and it was a well-attended, one of their congressional meetings where they had the members there. And they listened very nicely, very sympathetic to my need, but they passed on it. Since that time, I went back to them twice to members on the church elder board, and they presented it a second and a third time, and they again said, we don't want to.
okay, I'll get to you. We'll get you an opportunity to speak because I do have some questions concerning that. I just wanted to clarify that location where that was.
Ms. Garber, while you have that screen, it's interesting that the parcel directly across the street between the bank and the gas station is about the same size and shape as the parcel that applicant would like to create.
So it's probably a non-conforming lot.
Right.
But any ones that are created now have to meet that 100 feet.
Understood. It
So
just
these-
struck me interesting. It was almost in your range of what
Pretty much.
we have here.
So these are pictures of the proposed new parcel. So you'll see Andy went out and took pictures for me. So they have somewhat of an entrance onto that site, this little portion right here. And then they have some power lines, of course, that they'd have to relocate if they develop this parcel. So this would be the frontage right here, right next to the gas station. And this is just a little bit better of a view because that was from across the street and this is directly right here on the parcel. And again, just some better images of the parcel to show you the power lines. And just the last picture of the parcel. So in this particular application, staff would recommend approval because they only would have the 70 feet out of the required 100. So staff would recommend approval of the variance request.
And the variance request is needed to divide the land.
To divide the land, yes,
Not to use it in its current state, but to divide it.
that's correct.
Does the board have any questions for Ms. Grover?
Ms. Grover, how much history do you have on the original approval of this development? Specifically as it relates to adjacent properties where they have cross access, maybe, looking at the site plan, it looked like they contemplated connections to the Fastmark driveway, connections to the development that's already been developed in the rear, that sort of thing.
Mr. Bradley might be able to
Okay.
answer some of those.
I mean, as far as like entrance sharing entrances or.
Right, so the concern is, it's already minimal frontage, they have an entrance there, but what's the purpose of that entrance? Is that entrance there as a secondary egress for the larger development in the back? Was it considered to be a primary entrance for development of this portion of the site? Is it reliant on cross-access easements to Fastmark as it's shown on the site plan? Just trying to understand, are we pigeonholing him into a corner here? Is that access physically, VDOT access, sufficient to support a standalone drive-through restaurant?
So that will come up again when they go through the site plan process.
Right, but we're building that case, right?
Right.
We're going to subdivide it, and then the applicant's going to say, well, I've got it subdivided, I've got to develop it. So
So what?
kind of putting the cart before the horse, but it's not.
Right. So when they go before the site plan process, in my experience, VDOT would normally, what they have been asking for the last couple of years is to try to get a shared access, and if they can't, then they'll go another route, but I can't answer for VDOT and say what they will and won't require at this point, since they haven't seen anything from the applicant. But normally that's the route they've been going for the last couple of years. But since they already have this right here, they're gonna have to look at it and see, does it meet their standards for today? And I don't know if it does at this point, since it's there.
And that's what it looks like the intent was behind the site plan. The site plan shows that connection to Fastmark. Just trying to get a little better history on this.
Yeah, I wish I could answer that.
Thank you.
Any more questions for Ms. Grover? Okay, thank you, Ms. Grover. Next, we have the applicant and representative for Widespread Properties LLC, who will speak now. If you want to address some of those questions and present.
I'm Frank Bradley, of Widespread Properties in Southern Ryan Bradley. I think I can answer your question because I owned Fastmart at the time that parcel was developed. And we bought 2 parcels from Billy French, and Fastmart was on one of the parcels. Residual parcel, I decided to develop after I sold Fastmart in 1998. So I built the 2 buildings on the parcel. When I came to King William to have the site plan approved of 2 buildings that are currently there, if you look at that site plan closely, it actually shows 3 potential future sites. One in front of the Avis Medical Center, one in front of adjacent to Sharon Baptist Church, and then this little sliver that goes into 360. Also, when the site plan was approved originally for those 2 buildings, that entrance that's built on 360 is not a rinky-dink entrance. It was VDOT approved. So we went to VDOT, we got approval to build that commercial entrance. When I sold Fastmart in 1998, actually when I sold the real estate in 2003, we reserved the right to connect to that property, thinking that people leaving there may want to come to us on their property, people leaving us may want to go to that property without getting back on 360, thinking people may want to get to Route 30 without getting on 360 and going around the corner. So we were trying to protect ourselves for what could in the future come of this parcel. And we've tried to put something on this property by selling the property, at least a ground leasing. Once I found out in talking to Mrs. Graham that that parcel did not comply for a freestanding tax parcel, we kept getting a no from everybody my agent inquired with. First of all, it had to be a small restaurant. You know, you're seeing smaller and smaller footprints. Parcel is only 8/10 of an acre, so it wouldn't accommodate anything big with a lot of parking requirements. So, but everybody that's expressed interest in this site, and we've had a Quick Lube expressed interest, we've had Dairy Queen expressed interest, we actually had McDonald's expressed interest, except they said there's no way we can go on that small parcel, and that precipitated us to talk to Sharon Church to get a no for an answer. But so we've tried to protect ourselves with that access agreement. Interestingly, that's where you saw it on that site plan, the tie into the Fastmart parcel is where our civil engineer drew it as a potential connection. It's not defined on paper. I have in writing the easement agreement to connect anywhere along that sideline that works for my user. So I hope that answers your question. Wrong answer.
No, it certainly does. And, I certainly encourage development of this property in any form.
Yeah.
But that helps it a lot. You know, having a single ingress egress off of 360 that may or may not be wide enough. Having that connection with Fastmart offers a lot.
Yes.
And now that I'm looking at it a little bit closer, I first thought maybe that was just a secondary egress from what you've already developed. But that was never contemplated. There was never a connection between the two.
It never was. No.
This was always going to be developed as a standalone, whether it was on its own lot or not. It was going to be a standalone. That's it.
Correct.
Okay. But do you still own all of that property? You still own where Roma's is? And
Yes.
you
Yeah,
do.
that's all part of one big parcel. And what we want to do is draw a line right behind the, probably staying off 10 or 15 feet from the rear of the medical building. And it creates that tax parcel.
And is the purpose of that to make it more marketable?
Well, because everybody that showed interest in it will not land lease for me. Right now, it's part of the whole parcel. whole tax parcel. So for me to be able to sell it to somebody, I've got to create a separate standalone tax parcel.
Ms. Crawford, does the lot, will the lot comply with all other bulk requirements? Area, et cetera?
It should, if we get approval, they'll have to submit a site plan and we'll have to look at it for parking and all the other site requirements, the design requirements.
But the bulk zoning requirements, the
It
areas,
should be fine.
they're pretty flexible on the B1 zone from wherever.
I don't have any comments, I'll answer questions.
Any questions for that?
You anticipate, knowing what you know tonight, do you anticipate that VDOT would require any further improvements than what you've already built, additional XL, decel, widening, or was this built under a VDOT permit that contemplated development of this site?
Well, VDOT saw the same site plan you're looking at, it shows it as commercial, like it shows it as a future restaurant.
Okay.
And we do have a DXL lane built up 360 to service that.
So it'd be a surprise to everybody if VDOT came to you.
It would certainly
Said
surprise me
more.
because we spent a lot of money building that DXL lane. Yeah, I don't know, to be honest, I don't know whether they changed their distances for what you said, but it does have the DXL lane in compliance when we built it.
And it was based on this site plan that we're seeing tonight. They saw the same layout.
We did, yes.
What year was the site plan approved? Do you remember?
I do not.
Remember, did you ask them?
Yeah, what year?
I can't see the
Can't read
year.
it. I don't have my glasses tonight, so I can't read the date on it.
I think we think of 7.
If you would. Yeah, resell line. Would be that standards.
If you have a particular applicant that's looking at the site and you have certain questions or what the requirements are, we have a contact in VDOT and we'd be happy to send questions through or give you the appendix that says, so please ask any questions that you have as you're going through the process before you submit a site plan. We'd be happy to help you.
Thank you.
6.
Very helpful.
Yeah, it's like 2006.
I was like,
I have an administrative question, Ms. Graham. This application is just for variance relief from the frontage requirement, right? With the ultimate purpose of subdividing the property. If we grant the variance for the frontage, does this board retain jurisdiction over the subdivision application?
No.
Any further questions for the applicant?
Well, I mean, just for, I'm sorry, clarification. So the relief that we grant tonight for the frontage is only applicable if the lot is subdivided.
So I've got to come back and apply for subdivision.
Well, you will have to submit a plat that's showing the division. It doesn't require a public hearing, but it does go before the planning commission. And of course, the site plan for your commercial project, because it's in a TCO, will also go before the planning commission.
So you're saying it's handled administratively, it's not a public hearing, is that what you're telling me?
It will have to go to VDOT for approval. We do send it to the planning commission for review. That does not hold up, they will not hold a public hearing on it because you don't need to rezone it or anything. But your site plan for the construction, that will go to the planning commission for review.
Okay.
Not a public hearing, but for review.
So without a subdivision, the variance is not required. With the variance approval is only applicable
Because they're
if
subdivided.
he goes forward with the site.
But we will not approve the division without a variance
I understand.
allowing the frontage.
It'd be more efficient if you could just have one word for all.
Yeah. Two more.
I know we're a friendly board, but
Any other questions for the applicant?
no, I don't think of them.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, next, we're going to go ahead and open the floor to public comment for variance request V-01-22. Individuals have the opportunity for 3 minutes or 5 minutes per group organization. And those who wish to speak, that the variance request be granted, may come up at this time. If you're on Zoom, please make yourself known by raising your hand or pressing *9 on the phone. Be sure to give us your name and address for the record. So at this time, is there anyone that wishes to speak in favor of the variance request? Okay, is there anyone that wishes to speak in opposition or denial of the variance request? Okay, being there are none, I'll go ahead and close the public comment period. Ms. Grover, as I asked before, have you received any further contacts and support or opposition since the packet was put together?
No, sir.
So at this point, the applicant gets the chance to make closing remarks if you have any. I don't have any. Very well, thank you. And does the board have any final questions for the applicant?
Can you attract a coffee shop?
I guess Sharon Baptist, have they, has anybody heard?
I did have somebody from the church contact me.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have any opposition.
Okay.
They just said with the congregation, they said it was an older congregation. And it was hard to get anybody together to agree to anything.
I do have I actually go to that church and I got just a question to ask you. The questions that they were telling us had to do with sewage or a sewer line or some kind of septic that's running through there or something. We didn't, I don't recall.
There's a storm drain. That's
Storm
across the
drain,
corner,
yeah.
but yeah,
It
it's
is storm drainage runs right down inside, so when it rains, the water coming off my parking lot from a medical building goes in that storm drainage out to 360 and down the ditch line. In my judgment, the storm drainage pipes are way oversized, but that has no effect at all. They're underground, they're on my property 100%. And I never went to them for anything. The only reason I've ever been to Sharon Church is to see if they would sell me a triangle piece of property that frontage on 360 and then back on an angle that tied into my property, which would square my property out. Probably giving me about 1.25 acres. I've got 8/10 now.
Just a question of people not getting together to agree on
Yeah,
things.
I don't recall hearing that. How long ago was that?
That was probably in, when I went in front of the congregation, I would say it was back like 2015.
Oh,
It's some years
it's been a while.
ago.
Okay. That's probably what I remember. Yeah, we just, the church was approached not too long ago by a company that wanted to kind of run a drain field through there or do something that.
Yes, because they contacted me too. It was Tractor Supply. And I said, this is a crazy route. Why are you coming across here to run? And I said, I don't see the practicality in this. I was talking to that civil engineer, but I think it was Tractor Supply when they built that site.
Okay. All right, does the board feel it's sufficiently informed and ready to make a decision?
Yes, sir.
All right, without objection, in accordance to Virginia Code 15.2-2309, powers and duties of the Board of Zoning Appeals, I'll entertain a motion to either approve or deny the variance request V-01-22.
Make a motion, we approve the variance request in support of subdivision and development of this property.
I have a motion to approve the variance request. Do I have a second?
A second.
It's properly second. Any further discussion? This easy. Ms. Grover, would you take the vote?
Ms. Walker, Ms. White,
Aye.
Mr. Nolan,
Aye.
and Mr. Schumacher.
Aye. Variance request B-0122 is approved. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. I just know you need it.
Coffee.
Everybody.
Yeah, I heard you.
Chick-fil-A. Next, we have Sherry Graham on the list for an update on the comprehensive plan or any other matters. Ms. Graham?
Okay, just real quick, we did have a public meeting, I believe it was the 10th. I guess was not in attendance. So Christina handled that one for me, and I guess we had a pretty good crowd from what I understand. A lot of comments wanting a library. So we are going forward with the comprehensive plan. The planning commission will have a meeting on April 5th. And that's going to be a combined regular meeting / work session to hopefully finalize the last bits of it. Our first meeting in May, we plan to have a public hearing on it. And the Board of Supervisors hold their public hearing the end of May at their regular meeting. So there's a few changes, not a lot. We should have that complete by the 31st. And as soon as we get it updated, we'll have it online.
Do you have would you have a copy of just what the changes were? Like if we already have.
We'll have that by the 31st.
Okay, very good.
Might have it before, but I was told we would definitely have it by the 31st to get out to everyone, so.
Anything else, Ms. Graham? Anything coming up down the road? Any other variance requests, applications?
No applications for variances right now. We do have a public hearing for the wetlands board that's coming up tomorrow night. That is for Dominion Energy to temporarily run some mats and so forth over wetlands. They're going to be replacing and repairing some of the lines. So, but it's just a temporary crossing.
Okay, anybody have any questions from this morning? All right, if there's no further, the board has nothing else to discuss this time. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned. Thank you.